Again. So talk a little bit about the changes you've seen in 20 years of work through Bread for the World.
Well, I'm really encouraged, actually. I think voter attitudes toward poor people in our country and around the world are more favorable than they were. Lutherans have always been engaged in work for hungry people, advocacy for hungry people, but they've been joined by evangelical Christians who weren't as supportive 20 years ago, and also Jews and Muslims are better organized around these issues. And just in the last couple of years, I think President Obama and Congress did a lot of things that are protecting poor people right now and will help to reduce poverty in the years ahead. So I actually come to 2011 encouraged. I think right now is a time of change. The positive things that have happened make me think that, in fact, this could be a good time. Basically what's happening is that the elections of last year made it imperative that politicians address the budget deficit now. We're still a rich country, but we're not as rich as we thought we were. And the federal government needs to reduce the deficit over the next years. So how are we going to do that? It means we have to not do some things that we were planning to do. I think this is a moment when people who experience the love of God need to say, look, we can adjust to this new reality in a way that doesn't cause more hurt for people who are hungry and poor. I just think our loving God is calling us to get off the couch and to be more active as citizens on the Minnesota budget debate, the national debates. We need to speak up. If we do that, in fact, we could make our country a much better place in the years ahead, and the world a better place.
Right now, the language of the debate is fairly difficult. There's some very negative things being said, and I think often the cuts that are being talked about are really on the heads of people who are hungry and poor. Talk a little bit about why you've chosen, in the midst of that debate, to go to fast.
Well, together with some other leaders, I've decided to fast. I'm going to fast for 7 days, water only, but also pray and take action. And we're calling on other people of faith and conscience to pray, maybe to fast in their own way, and certainly to take action. To specifically to write to their U.S. senators, to urge them to form a circle of protection around programs that help hungry and poor people in our country and around the world. We can address the deficit without hurting hungry and poor people. Minnesota senators could both be heroes on this issue. They could be people who are out in front, precisely making this point that we need to form a circle of protection around hungry and poor people. I think in fasting, it's also a way of saying this is bigger than politics. And we need God to guide our nation. Reducing the deficit is not an easy process. So I think we need patience and respect on the part of voters. We need wisdom and integrity on the part of politicians. And we need conscience when it comes to what we're doing to poor people.
What's one thing people could do today that would make a difference? If they had 5 minutes today, what could they do?
Well, in 5 minutes, you could write to one of your 2 Minnesota senators and ask him or her to be a champion for the poor in the budget negotiations, the poor in our country and around the world, to help form a circle of protection around the programs that help hungry and poor people. People can go to bread.org. That's one way to find out the address. Or you can do it as an email. If you do it as an email, make sure you put your return address. Make it clear that you're a real person who actually lives in Minnesota. But do that today. It takes 5 minutes. It would help to change history for hungry people.